राजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे. A complete human being. This is the topic for discussion today. What makes a complete human being? Who is a perfect human being? Human and perfect. These two terms, they don't go together. But yet, in our practical lives, we see if somebody manifests a good quality to an extraordinary degree, let us say honesty, kindness, compassion, charity, selflessness. If an individual displays any of these divine qualities to an extraordinary degree, we say that human being is not a human being. That man is not a man, he is God, right? He is no more a man, he becomes a God. Because the qualities which we are trying to cultivate in ourselves, the other individual is able to manifest, is able to demonstrate, he is practicing these qualities in his life. And so we call him a God. It is there in our culture. Any quality, extraordinary, truthfulness, for example. Any of these divine qualities, virtues, if somebody manifests to above normal degree, the what ordinary people practice, above that, if somebody practices, we call him a God. He is in human form, but we call him a God. He is almost like a God. So we see this in our culture, because our idea of God is not somebody who is not here. We know that by practicing Dharma, by cultivating these virtues, over a period of time, we attain perfection. Here itself, through this embodiment itself, we attain perfection. Who is the example given in our culture? Let's say Rama. Rama, we all know, the son of Dasharatha. Even when he incarnated, except few sages, nobody else considered him as an incarnation of God. They just saw a kind of perfection in him. Human being, like any other human being, but in terms of virtue, in terms of good qualities, in terms of noble qualities, he had manifested to a greater degree than other human beings of contemporary times. And the people considered him a God, saw in him a divine entity. So our idea of perfection is, by practicing Dharma, by practicing virtue, we become perfect here itself. What happens? Why in our culture practicing Dharma or cultivating virtues are insisted so much? We are all aspiring for moksha, for liberation, for immortality. A better word is immortality. Everybody wants to have eternal life. And how we will gain that? Our scriptures say, our sages have said that it is within you already. It's very close to you, the immortal dimension of your personality, the divine dimension of your personality. Sometimes we miss the most obvious. that which is always there, but we miss it because of Maya. We don't experience it, we don't feel it. It is not in our awareness, our divine nature, our immortal nature. So there are sadhanas are prescribed, practice of dharma is encouraged, cultivating virtues is told. If you do that, what happens? What reward I will get? Yes, you will attain perfection. You will become a complete human being. An enlightened human being is a complete human being. An enlightened human being is a perfect human being. An enlightened human being is a self-fulfilled human being. He has attained total fulfillment and there is nothing more to achieve, there is nothing more to know. You have reached the culmination, the zenith, the pinnacle of life. And for that, actually, practicing dharma is an aid, a support. What happens basically? So what is nirvana? You will transcend prakriti. In the last class also we discussed. What is prakriti? Mind. Once you cross the mind, lies the truth. That is the absolute, that is consciousness. The hurdle is the mind. Mind is not allowing us to experience our divine nature. It is not allowing us to experience the absolute nature of our being. It is the stumbling block. It is the hindrance. Mind is always made of pairs of opposites, dvandva. It compares things. This is good, that is bad. This is superior, that is inferior. This is low, that is high. So that's how it survives. If you learn to see everything as just one whole, everything as just the manifestation of the one divine, and if you become successful in overcoming that dual nature of the mind, then it can't survive because it has no shape of its own. Mind is a kind of ghost in that way. It has no shape of its own. It takes shape because of this comparison. It exists because of this comparison only. Today in our society, we focus so much on cultivating the intellect. We sharpen it and sharpen it. The more you sharpen it and the more contrast it will show. And then it will say it's good, it's bad. And if you just see in our family, father's love and mother's love, for example, father tends to use more his reason. Generally in parenting, father uses his reason. When he has, suppose, two children, one is very highly successful, one is not so successful. Because he uses his reason, he loves the successful child more than the unsuccessful child. Her mother doesn't use much of reason. She uses her feeling love. And so she loves both of them equally. And at times she loves the unsuccessful child more. Because she doesn't use reason. She doesn't use intellect. Intellect actually is a dissecting instrument. It is a cutting instrument. It chops. And through that actually you can't embrace people. You can't become inclusive. You can't make others part of your being. For that, feeling is necessary. Heart is necessary. Today in our education system, the focus is so much on cultivating the intellect, that the sharpest of the brain, but absolutely no feeling, bereft of any feeling in the heart. And what happens actually, our intellect tortures us. Our thoughts actually will always be negative thoughts only. If there is love in your heart, if you cultivate that, if you focus more on nourishing the feeling, nurturing the feeling, because there is love in the heart, only positive thought will be generated in your mind. Intellect is necessary, but focus should just not be on intellect alone. Nurturing the heart parallelly is equally important. If you are given an option, better you nurture the feeling more. Forget about the intellect. Once the heart is full with love, the intellect flourishes automatically. Thoughts will come in torrents. You don't have to cultivate knowledge. Because God resides in heart, not in brain. The seat of God is the heart. And so it's more important to cultivate love, to embrace others as part of your being, and to engage in selfless activities and service, so that slowly you will come closer to the truth, than having the sharpest of the intellect and not cultivating the feeling or heart. So even to say an unselfish prayer, there is so much of suffering in the world, we all know. You don't have the means to help the society. You are struggling to stand on your own feet. You don't have much money. You don't have material things to share with others, to distribute to others. It's okay. But you can pray for the society. If your prayer is unselfish, Lord will listen to that unselfish prayer and helps the other individual. Because God is dwelling in every heart. In the Bhagavata, there is a beautiful sloka, Jiva Rashibhihi Akirna Andakashangripo Mahan Tan Mulatvad Achyutejya Sarva Jivatma Tarpanam. This great universe is there. There are so many things in the universe. God has created living beings and non-living beings. The universe has so many things. So if you compare the universe with a tree, and tree has many branches, and the Jiva Rasibihi Akirna. So all the beings, living beings, you consider as one branch. Andakashangripo Mohan, to this giant tree of this universe, all the living beings comprise a big branch. Tan Mulatvad Achyutejya Sarva Jivatma Tarpanam. So who nourishes this tree, great tree? Who is the source of this tree? Who is the root? Who is the support and substratum of this tree? The Lord Achyuta. He is the Mula. He is the cause. Tan Mulatvad Achyutejya Sarva Jivatma Tarpanam. So whoever worships the Lord, true worship, not just actually feeling devotion. You have true devotion for the Lord. You surrender yourself at the feet of the Lord. Tan Mulatvad Achyutejya Sarva Jivatma Tarpanam. So you are helping the society in your own way. You are helping the society in the best possible way. Because you worship the Lord, because that Lord actually is the source of the universe. He is the cause of the universe. And the whole universe you are supporting thereby. Sarva Jivatma Tarpanam. You are helping all the beings just by worshipping the Lord. Just by thinking about Him constantly, by remembering Him, by cultivating devotion towards His lotus feet, by meditating on Him, by singing His praises, by singing His glories. You are helping the whole universe. You can do that. So, service and help they don't necessarily mean helping people through physical things, through money, through clothes, through food. That's good. If you have more, you give, you share with others. But that is not the only service that you can do. You can even pray for the entire mankind. Of course, that requires unselfish heart. Unselfishness is not easy. Most of the time we pray for ourselves, that is easy. But to pray for others, you just try. It doesn't come that easily. So the English word selfish actually is a negative word. Somebody is a selfish individual, it's a negative word. The equivalent word in Sanskrit is swartha, but this is not a negative word. Swartha. Artha is prayojana, one's own welfare. Swartha, one's own welfare. Be a selfish individual, though you can't say in English. Nobody will say, be an unselfish individual, say. But in Sanskrit you can say, be swartha, have swartha. Seek your own welfare, but in the true sense of the term. So, everybody is selfish in the world, but you need to be enlightened unselfishness you need to practice. You don't even know what conduces for your good. That is the condition of the majority of the people in the society today. As Swamiji beautifully puts it, Vivekananda, unselfishness is more paying, but people don't have the patience to practice it. That means we don't know our own welfare. We don't know how to help ourselves. We're all in a rush. We're all in a hurry to make the best of life without knowing the basic principles of life, how life operates. If you have some patience, if you reflect on the nature of things and how the life is designed and constructed, every individual will become unselfish. Every individual will come forward to sacrifice his selfish desires for the sake of others. And that is expansion. The more you taste, the more you relish that kind of service to others, the more you come closer to the truth. When you come closer to the truth, automatically your experience of life will be better than others. You will have more peace, you will have more fulfillment, and ultimately, when you become successful in annihilating the selfish instinct completely, you will attain enlightenment. That is total human fulfillment. So the Sanskrit word swartha means seek your own welfare. People think that we are unselfish people, monks, but we are the most selfish. Truly selfish. You have to tell people, be truly selfish. People think that we are here to help others. No, we are all here to help ourselves. We can't help anybody in the world. Help is actually not the right word, in fact. You can serve others. You can't help others. You can serve others, but you can't help others. To say that I help others is a blasphemy. Because who are you to help God then? When you say that I help others, then God has created a defective world. And God actually needed your help. That's what you are saying. The world doesn't need your help. The world is not dependent on your help. Nobody is in need of our help. If any human being thinks that I have done so much, I have helped so many people, he or she has not understood what unselfishness means or what actually it is to help others. Swamiji says that it is a blessed privilege. Okay, God has given you a privilege. God has given you a little better capacity than others. And deem it as a honor and deem it as a fortune. And then try to serve others. If you have more money, more intelligence, more wealth, share with it, distribute to others, help others as much as you can. Deem it as a privilege. You are serving others, not helping others. And you have been given an opportunity to serve others. That is the privilege. And you must be thankful to God for giving you that privilege. And that should be the attitude of an individual when you serve others. When you say that I help others, you are saying that actually God needed help. And God has not done a perfect world. That is a Swiss blasphemy. It's insult to God when you use such language. You must deem it a privilege to help others, to serve others. And through such service, you attain to inner cleansing. Your inner instrument becomes purer and purer. Your mind becomes purer and purer. And your thoughts will become purer and purer. And you will come closer to the truth. That's why if you get an opportunity to serve others, grab that opportunity and give your service as much as you can. So when it comes to service need not be always distribution of material thing, as I said. You can pray. That actually helps you to expand your consciousness. Make it a habit, little by little, cultivate it. As I said, it's not that easy to pray for others. It requires a lot of effort. A lot of effort is required in the beginning. And afterwards, it may become your second nature. Effortlessly, you pray for the well-being of the entire mankind. Let everybody be happy. That's why now Rishis have given us the universal prayer. Loka samastha sukhina bhavantu. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. A universal prayer they have given. Keep chanting this. Not just, the prayer should come not from your lips, it should come from the bottom of the heart. When you really feel for the suffering of others, it will come. It will well up from the bottom of your heart. And good will happen to the world because you have sought the blessings of the Almighty upon mankind, His creation. If He is pleased with your devotion or if He is pleased with your prayer, then He will help people because He alone has the capacity, because He is the source of the universe. If He is pleased, the whole mankind is helped. So, tan mulatvad achyutejya sarva jivatmatarpanam. As God actually is the substratum, is the source of the universe, whichever devotee pleases the Lord, whichever devotee becomes successful in invoking the blessings of the Lord on mankind, he or she has helped the humanity to the greatest possible extent. So to become perfect, to become a perfect human being, practice of dharma and practice of virtue is important. And to practice dharma, again, is not easy. Renunciation is the great aid. Today also, we all talk about Kali Yuga. Dharma actually stands on one foot in Kali Yuga. And we all find it very difficult to practice Dharma. You know why? Because there is no renunciation. We all have so many desires, material desires. We are all in competition with our fellow human beings. And so nobody has patience to reflect seriously on the way life is constituted and why Dharma is important. We have become very short-sighted in that way. That nobody goes deep into the nature of things, a very shallow understanding of life, and everybody in a rush to make the best of life without knowing what life is, without knowing the fundamental principles of life. That too in this yoga bhumi is an unfortunate state of affairs. So practice of Dharma becomes easy for you when you have renunciation. Renunciation means either detachment or total renunciation. If you can't renounce externally, internal renunciation, dispassion you need to cultivate. If you have that dispassion, renunciation, practice of Dharma becomes easy for you. And what you need to cultivate renunciation or dispassion, you need to have strength. Everybody wants to have renunciation, everybody wants to renounce, but not many become successful. Why? Enough strength is not there. I long for the things of the world. I'm not able to curb my desires. That means renunciation is basically lessening desires, right? Worldly desires, and strengthening the desire to know God. You control your material desires and you cultivate the desire to know God. And this second desire becomes stronger and stronger. The first desire becomes weaker and weaker, material desires. So to cultivate renunciation, to cultivate dispassion for the things of the world, you need to have strength. How strength comes? Strength comes through penance. Strength comes through tapas. This is tapo bhumi. You know, in ancient days, not just gods, devas, even asuras also used to do penance. So, even demons also used to practice penance. They knew that only through tapas, only through penance, you can have strength, you can have power. There is a source of this universe. The universe, many phenomenal things have happened, which we cannot do for sure. And that intelligence of the force, which has created this universe, is mightily powerful. If I become successful in pleasing that mighty power, and he or she or it will shower the blessings upon me, and I will become more powerful. Right? To enhance my power, what I need to do? So I need to please that Almighty Lord. How can I please that Almighty Lord? Through penance, through tapas. And what is tapas? To practice Dharma, you need to have renunciation. It becomes easy if you have renunciation. Renunciation is a great aid or dispassion. To practice renunciation, you need to have strength. Strength comes through tapas or penance. What is penance? Repetition of God's name is tapas. Simplest tapas. Can we do tapas like Hiranyakashipu, how he did? You think is it possible for you to do Hiranyakashipu's tapas? You know what kind of tapas penance he did? Anthill grew on him. The body became skin and bones. Ants had eaten away his flesh. His sankalpa, volition and determination was so strong. Okay, you determined. The Lord must appear before me, Brahma. The whole world started burning with the fire of penance that he had emanated. That degree of tapas he did. We are nowhere near that kind of tapas. We can't do it for one day. So God has actually granted concessions. He has made things easier and simpler for us because He knows our strength. He knows the strength of the people of Kali Yuga, and that's why He has given us this easy penance. You practice this simple tapas, repeat my name, sing my praises, sing my glories, remember my sportive deeds, that is sufficient for you. helping others, serving others, practicing unselfishness. There are difficult things for you. So you just do this. Repeat my name. The simplest penance that we can do. Of course, practicing truth, truthfulness, honesty, prayer, selflessness, they are also penances. You can practice as many these practices as possible. If you can't practice many of these, at least simply repeat God's name. That's all. That is the greatest penance that you can do. Meditation is also penance, but it's not easy. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell what kind of meditation you will do. In Kali Yuga, it's not easy. We know how restless our mind when we sit for meditation. Just if you really want to know how restless your mind is, how many thoughts are there, with what speed thoughts are coming, you can close your eyes and sit for meditation. Just to know. The minds are so agitated and such turmoil with the various factors. Life has become complex, we understand. Life actually is no more simple as it was in the past. For various reasons. So meditation is also not an easy thing. We have to practice it, okay, to settle the mind, to see into our own self, to purify our thoughts sometimes. It helps us actually to prevent the conditioning of mind, If we don't pay attention to the mind, complexes will get created there, slowly. It changes our personality, because you are not observing the mind, and mind actually creates further conditioning. Now, when we come into the world, we come with conditioning of mind only. Prarabdha actually conditions our mind, right? Otherwise, you won't remain a human being. The very fact that we remain a human being is this, because of the conditioning of the mind. This mind is conditioned by the prarabdha. In addition to that, when you come into this world, the environment, the society conditions your mind further. If you are a spiritual sadhaka, you will be alert, and you will look into your mind, and actually you will be unconditioning your mind gradually, step by step, not allowing the environment, not allowing the society to impact your mind. You will not allow it to get conditioned further. Already actually we have come into the world with a condition, with a certain degree of conditioning. Different people to different extents, different degrees. In addition to that, as we are not told actually to uncondition the mind, that is the goal of life. Nobody set that goal before us. Our mind actually tends to become more conditioned, more rigid it becomes. We become more judgmental, more opinionated, with greater likes and dislikes. That means further conditioning is happening. So that means mind is becoming stronger and stronger. Stronger not in that sense. That means it will control us. We will not be able to control our mind. And it will control us, stronger in that sense. Not just strong mind means that it is in your control and you are able to deal it comfortably. It will boss over us. It will dictate terms to us. It has become so deeply conditioned. So this unconditioning of mind will happen when you practice dharma, when you do penance. So this meditation, when you practice on a regular basis, you are just reflecting on your own nature. And thoughts actually which have that conditioning effect, actually you remove, you plug them out. You weed them out gradually. And the mind becomes more and more unconditioned. You know what people are expecting of a human being today? We have neighbors, we have friends, we have people at home. What the society expects, Today's topic is a complete human being. We can't become perfect like Rama. That degree of character excellence we won't be able to manifest, okay? 3 things actually we expect of individuals. The first thing is a commonsensical brain. And we're not expecting genius. We don't want genius. Nobody wants to be in the company of geniuses, we know. Geniuses are sometimes tend to become very conditioned. It's very irritating to be in their presence also. So as a genius has become a negative connotation it has acquired, unfortunately. I don't know how positive a word it is today. Right? Intellectual has definitely, the word intellectual has attained a lot of negative connotation. Not genius, but the word intellectual. He or she is an intellectual means it has more negative connotation than positive. So people actually are not expecting you to become intellectually smart. What they expect, what they love to have in you is a commonsensical brain. In English, the proverb is there, common sense is most uncommon. That irritates others. If you don't have common sense, others get troubled. If you have commonsensical brain, others feel comfortable in your presence. You have common sense. The sense is so important. Balance is more important. So that others won't feel uncomfortable in your presence. You know how to act sensibly. Geniuses and intellectual people are not asking for. People are asking a commonsensical individual, a commonsensical brain, a kind heart. Okay, a kind heart, not a stone heart. As I said, if you don't cultivate the feeling over a period of time without being aware of it, the heart tends to become more and more harder. Kindness also we need to cultivate. If we can't practice big charity, give few sugar grains to ants, few biscuits to a dog, or feed a cat with something. Another life, maybe subhuman species, it doesn't matter. Loving human being and serving human being is a big thing. If we can't do that, at least the small things. Throw a few grains to a few birds and watch them eating those grains. You are nurturing your feeling. You are expanding. You have touched another life. You have grown in kindness and compassion. Slowly you start practicing it. That means you are trying to fill your heart with more and more love. When heart is filled thus with love, positive thought will come into the mind automatically. So slowly you will evolve towards that perfection. It will happen. So a commonsensical brain, a kind heart, and if you have a small belly, you are very fortunate. You can't eat much food. Okay, then you are very fortunate, I must say. You see people today, the greed that exists. I don't think actually I'm only touching on the negative things of the society. How much we can eat. When you are in 20s, okay, you can have 2 square meals per day, full meals. When you come to 40, you have to reduce the quantity by half. When you reach 60, you have to reduce it by half further. Every extra morsel you have to take with caution. You might get diabetes. If you eat after 40 or 50, a sweet comes into your plate, but you hesitate to take or not to take. But individuals who have a little big belly, big stomach, they think that the crores and crores of money that they have is not sufficient to feed this one stomach, to put food into this stomach. It creates such an impression. Mind deludes people like that. What I will eat tomorrow, what my children will eat, if I keep giving things like that, if I keep sharing with others, how much you will eat? What do you think actually your eating capacity? A little big stomach, but the greed is as if all the food that is in the world is not sufficient for this individual. It creates, this is the keep on accumulating. How much you will eat? How big a stomach you have got? So if you have small belly, small stomach, I say that you are fortunate. You have no fear actually how to feed because it's already very small. Not much can go into it. So you'll be able to practice more charity and you'll be able to serve others better. We are accumulating as if no, we will be able to eat so much. No, you can't. Nature actually has put a limitation as it were. So better actually you distribute things to others which you cannot enjoy. You share with others. There are so many needy people. Accumulate good karma, merit, yashas, kirti, fame. No? Last week we discussed that sloka that Dadichi said, Yo adruena atmananatha adharmaha na yashah puman iheta bhutadaya shochaihi sa sthavarairapi. Yo adruena atmananatha. So this body which is so transient, having got this impermanent entity, this physical body, whichever individual who doesn't pay attention to acquire dharma or yashas, to cultivate righteousness or to acquire fame, Such an individual will be pitied even by inanimate things. So, sochah sthavarairepi. Inanimate things also will pity that creature, that human being who doesn't try to cultivate righteousness and try to acquire fame. Iheta bhutadayaya. Out of compassion for beings. So you should have that compassion for the suffering beings, and then you must strive to help those beings as much as that lies in your power. And through that, you will gain yashas, kirti. At least the people earlier days, they used to, there are things actually unselfish work, and now if you don't care even for name and fame, it's still higher, definitely. But at least for the sake of yashas, for the sake of fame, they will, they used to help others, they used to serve others, they would distribute things for others, because they had the understanding that when a human being dies, what follows him is actually only the ashes. What survives him is only the ashes. Only the fame that you have acquired in this world will remain for posterity. After you die, you have left this world, you are no more in this world. You have gone from this world. So what remains of you? The name, the good name that you have earned, that will be there. Yes, today we remember people like Dadichi, Jimutavahana, Sibi Chakravarti. What period they belong? Some Puranic period, some ages ago, thousands of years ago. But their names are, still all we remember. We take their names, they have become our heroes. Anyway, this body is going to go over one day. Death will take it away. So we don't like it, but it will happen. So before we die, so acquire some fame, cultivate passion for righteousness. Cultivate a passion for righteousness. That's what our scriptures say. Otherwise you are living in vain. Purposeless life it becomes. Right? So, to become perfect, you have to have, acquire that balance. If these qualities if you have, it's fine. If you don't have, you cultivate them. A commonsensical brain, a kind heart, nurture the feeling, and then don't worry about your own, how I will survive in this world. It is God's responsibility to feed you. We are all children of Him. If you become unselfish, if you day and night don't think about yourself, but are thinking about the society and the world, how to help the world and how to help the society, manna will fall from heaven. You will become a VIP for the Lord, and He will take responsibility to feed you. Yogakshemam vahamyaham, He says. Whoever worships me in whichever way, such an individual will become very dear to me. So I will take care of their material needs, the Lord says. But we don't have faith, so we want to acquire things. Okay, acquire as much as that you need. But greed actually has taken over the society, as it were. Because the idea of a perfect human being is not there with people. The idea to attain perfection. And this instrument is not an ordinary instrument. We got such a rich prize from the Lord. And it has a higher purpose. Other things, creature comforts, they will happen anyway. Everybody will get little few creature comforts. But that should not be. Acquiring and procuring creature comfort should not be the sole objective of life. We should not get stuck there. There is a higher prayojana, a greater objective for this human body. With this you can do tapas, you can do penance, you can do yoga sadhana, you can do yoga. And you can attain union with the divine. And that is the objective. That's why it is such a superior instrument compared to all other living creatures, compared to all other bodies, physical bodies. You just see physically to attain harmony. Last week we were talking about this, Royal Road to Peace. As I quoted Swamiji also, Swamiji said, to attain equilibrium, harmony at a physical level, which is so difficult. And so to attain harmony and peace at a psychological level is far more difficult. Right? To attain harmony at a physical level, Ayurveda classifies bodies as Vata, Kapha, Pitta. 3 biological humors they talk about. When there is balance between these 3, you will not fall sick, you will not have any disease. When you are in 20s and 30s, when you are in youthful vigor, the balance is maintained. So you don't fall sick that often. But once you cross 40 and 50, the disturbance, the equilibrium gets disturbed, as it were. And one or other biological humor predominates, whether vata or kapha or pitta, one humor. And suppose if the vata actually humor predominates, then you have to take anti-vata food. If kapha is dominating, you have to take actually anti-kapha food, so that actually you will not fall sick. To balance this body itself is not that easy. People are falling sick too frequently because they don't know the science we miss now today. The science, after 40 and 50, one humor in every individual, maybe somebody's case it is vata, somebody's case it is pitta, and somebody's case it is kapha. So if you have kapha, more of kapha is dominating you, kapha humor, then you have to eat anti-kapha food. What is anti-kapha food? What is anti-pitta food? What is anti-vata food? You just read any Ayurveda book, actually it will be there. But you have to find it out, or you have to take the help of a Ayurveda doctor, actually, which biological humor actually is dominating your body. And he will just prescribe you the opposite. You have to eat actually anti-food. And automatically the food itself will, brings the balance, and you will not fall sick. You will not contract diseases that fast. So this is about the physical body, bringing harmony into the physical body. Yoga, of course, helps. And also if you have little knowledge of Ayurveda, the fundamental concepts of Ayurveda, and you can avoid disease. So it just happens, it's a body is not a permanent entity, it's constantly changing. It's not that from birth to death it's the same body that we have. It keeps changing. As we grow older, its vigor also comes down, and these three biological humors actually, sometimes one becomes dominant, sometimes other becomes dominant, and you must see. And this is about the physical. We are not going into the details here because it's not Ayurveda class. I'm not an Ayurveda doctor. So at a psychological level, we know mind is made up of, we've discussed this point many times, sattva, rajas and tamas. These are the three qualities which constitute the mind. And different people have different degrees of these three. And sattvic individual is very close to the Lord, definitely, because he will understand things clearly. His perception will be very clear. His understanding of life, his insight into the nature of things will be unerring. Whereas for a tamasic individual, it's all distorted version. He doesn't get the right picture. The distorted picture of life only he will get. But he doesn't understand that he gets the distorted picture. And a rajasic individual also the same, full of desires, full of ambition. And he sees his own world. So everybody, depending upon the dominance of any of these qualities, you get the picture of the world. So we all have the feeling that everybody sees the same world. No. Depending upon your desires, depending upon the tendencies, depending upon which actually is predominant in your mental makeup, you see that world only. So to bring equilibrium for these three gunas, among these three gunas actually is the goal. Once you attain this equilibrium, the mind will disappear. Mind actually is a disequilibrium between these three. It is constituted that way. So through all these spiritual practices, through all these penances actually, we are struggling basically to bring that equilibrium into the three gunas, these three qualities with which the mind is made up of. When you attain to this equilibrium or harmony, the mind will get dropped, and then you will have the experience of the superconscious. Then you will have the experience of the soul, the divine dimension of your personality. Then you have attained perfection. So practice of dharma, cultivating virtues, practice of renunciation, practice of tapas or penance, all actually will help us to progress towards that equilibrium, to go towards that harmony. Once you get to that harmony, you will touch the superconsciousness, the immortal dimension, the infinite dimension of your personality. That is the goal. To seek the infinite consciously is the goal. And as I quoted here, compared to the present existence, the physical and the psychological existence, the spiritual existence, there is no comparison anywhere. It's such a huge and giant leap. Kvayamatma nabaschadihi. Where is this body? Tucham kalevaram. Where is this despicable physical existence? Kvayamatma nabaschadihi. Where is that Atman which covers with his splendor even the sky, the space? Bhagavatam says, absolutely no comparison. That's why a yogi, as a sage who has perfected himself, looks upon the physical and psychological existence as a kind of ridiculous existence. Absolutely ridiculous, the present existence is. But this actually is a platform, is a ground. It serves as a ground. It serves as actually a launching pad to leapfrog into that infinite realm. You can actually jump into that. You can just move to that infinite realm. This serves as a launch pad. That's all, this body and mind. Use it as a launch pad and actually have the goal of reaching the infinite. We think actually we are doing so many big things in the world, but not much of big things can happen here. If you are consciously striving for spiritual perfection to realize the truth or God, you are living purposefully. Otherwise, you are not. All your worldly achievements, whatever may be the achievement, everything will come to a naught. Because what is there in front? Death. Right? There is an end to all our successes, to all our failures, to all our achievements. Everything will be brought to zero. But we behave as if it doesn't exist. So you may be thinking that we are big things, we are doing big things, but nothing big and nothing great is happening in our lives. Only when you bring this sadhana into your life, however little it may be, a little repetition of God's name with love. So you have added value to your life significantly. Not only to your life, you have added value to all other entire creation also. As the Bhagavata says, Tan mulatvad achyutechya. By worshipping the Lord, you are actually seeking the kalyana, the welfare of the entire living creation. So when we have that potential and that capacity, if we don't make use of that, it's a crime. In the Mahabharata, the Yaksha Prasna, the Yaksha asks Yudhishthira, Ka vartha? What is the news? What is the news in the world? You know what beautiful reply Yudhishthira gives? Asmin maha mohamaya katahe suryagnana ratri divendanena masartu dharvi parigattanena bhutani pachati kalaha vartha. You know, earlier we used to read the Yaksha Prasna as part of the textbook curriculum. Today, unfortunately, everything is removed. What genius, what intelligence, what reply, what subtle reply gives. What is the news, Yakshas? Vartha, ka vartha. Say, asmin maha mohamaya katahe. This whole world, actually, Yudhishthira compares, it's a cauldron. Okay, giant cauldron. What is happening in that cauldron? Suryagnina ratri divendanena. With the sun actually as the fire, ratri diva, nights and days as a fuel. Suryagnina ratri diva indanena. Masartu dharvi parigattanena. With months and seasons, Masa Rutu. Rutu is season. With months and seasons as the Dharvi, as the ladle. Bhutani Pachatiti Kalaha Vartha. The cook called time actually is cooking all beings in this great cauldron called the world. This world is compared with a giant cauldron. In that cauldron, all beings are put with the sun actually as the fire and days and nights actually as the fuel. With months and seasons as the ladle, the time, the great cook is cooking all the beings. That means he is actually devouring our lives. By the day, the lifespan, the life is ebbing out, coming closer to death. One more day is spent. That means what? You have come a little closer to death. It's not just to frighten you, okay? But by constantly reminding ourselves of death, the impermanence of the world, you will seek the permanent, you will seek the truth, you will seek God. That will happen. If you don't meditate on death, if you don't think about it as if it's non-existent, if you behave like that, there is no question of your getting awakened. This is all called pramadha in Sanskrit. That means you are not alert. Though the danger is there ahead, you don't want to see the danger, you want to close your eyes. So there is no way you get awakened. There is no way you get come closer to God. God becomes important, God becomes necessary for us only when we meditate on death. It's not just to frighten us. Our rishis have advised us. The world is impermanent. Today you think you are the body, but the physical body comes to a naught. There is an end to it. So before death follows us, you get awakened. Nasamparaya pratibhati bhalam pramadyantam vitta mohena mudham. Ayam loko nasti paraitimani punah punarvasham mapadyate me. Says the Upanishad. Ayam loko nasti paraitimani. The people think this is the only world, this is the only life I have. And they don't look at me, the truth. Nasamparaya pratibhati balam. Yama says that these children, they are actually still in the kindergarten of life. They have not grown up. Okay? Pramadyantam vitta mohena mudam. They are on the edge of danger. Vitta mohena mudam. Deluded by money, deluded by the worldly wealth. Punah punah vasam mapadyate me. They come under my sway again and again, he says. Again they are born, again they die. They are under my sway. I take them away from this world. So it's very important that you meditate on death so that God becomes a necessity for us. Spiritual life begins for us. We relish sadhana then and then only. As Yudhishthira says, nothing big is happening in our lives. Days and nights roll over our heads and we are coming closer to death. So we have to be alert. We have to meditate on the impermanence of the world. All the great sages like Buddha, all the galaxy of sages, they did it. And because of that, they could develop this passion and they could spend their life meaningfully. They could engage in such intense spiritual sadhana because they had that strong desire to know the truth, to experience the truth, to become one with the divine. So what we need to do to make ourselves a perfect human being, a complete human being? Penance. To attain that equilibrium where sattva, rajas and tamas come to harmony, the mind disappears. Need sadhana, need penance, need tapas. What is the easiest penance for this age? Repetition of God's name with love. Very easy to please the Lord. Kalehe dosha nide rajan hi asti eko mahan gunaha kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangaha param rajet. This Kali Yuga, Kali age is full of defects, but there is one good quality about this Kali Yuga, that is Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangaha Param Rajet. Just by singing the glories of the Lord, by singing the divine name, you will attain perfection. You will become a complete human being. You will attain to our divine nature. That is the highest state that is possible to all of us. So in the beginning it may become a little mechanical, it may sound a little tasteless for you, but don't give it up. Have some love in your heart. Just that's the ultimate thing we can do. Many mystics have said this, many sages have said this. We have certain emotion. Turn that emotion towards the divine and give a part of that love to him. If not all the love, at least a part of it we give, and slowly, slowly try to increase that. One day, you will relish the sadhana and you will become spiritually perfect. Then you will become a complete human being. A human being who has attained total fulfillment. We'll stop here for today. We shall meditate. We can today meditate for 4 minutes. A few minutes before we disperse.